Is this the presentation? Is this the recording?
Should we get started? Are we good? Good? All right, guys. All right. How was free time? Good? Fun? Basketball? Great. Okay. So, in the name of the Father, and the Holy Spirit, God, amen. So, someone remind me again, what was the topic for this weekend? Be light. Be light. I like it. Okay, good. So, in our first talk, we talked about what? Be light to who? Lots of people. Okay, but specifically people who were lonely, like that Samaritan woman in that story in John 4. And that was what we're talking about then. Then, in the workshops, which were really, really amazing, we started talking about preach the gospel at all times, when necessary, use words. And we talked about, here's the thing, one of the things we can do is not just preaching with the stuff that we say, but what? What we do. Preaching with our actions, right? What were we going to say on there? Actions. Perfect. That's correct, right? So it's a perfect segue into our next talk, because what we're going to talk about here is what do we do? Is there any stuff that we can do? Because here's the thing about preaching with our actions. And we'll start formally now. The Father's and Holy Spirit. I don't know if I already did that. But just cover your bases. When it comes to being a light with our actions, we really got to step our game up a little bit. Our actions, for them to be a light, it can't just be that we're like hold the door for people, which is nice. We're going to smile at people, which is super cute. Okay? We got to do more than that. More than that. So what we're going to talk about in this talk specifically is who are people that we can reach out to? How can we do that? And are we supposed to? Must we do it? And if we must, what are some ways that we're going to do it? I'm going to share with you kind of a model that when I shared this model, me and a couple friends with another close by church. You guys know Vancouver? Right? You guys are all like West Coast, you're friends, right? Like there's no rivalry or anything, West Canada rivalry. They picked it up, they're like, all right, this is cool. We're going to do this, and we're going to call it something else, but we're going to do it. So I wanted to share this with you in hopes of the same. Okay? So this is our topic. Our topic is light to the least. Being light to the least of these. And I'll explain what that means in a second. I want to start off with this verse. There's this verse here in 1 Timothy 4:12. Anybody ever heard this verse before? Give me a hand raise. Okay, some of you not. Let's read it together. It says, let no one despise your youth, but be an example to the believers in word, in conduct, in love, in spirit, in faith, and in purity. Those are the words basically that we're saying. And we're saying is we want to be an example in love, but with the stuff that we do. And just because we're young, just because we're in grade 7, or 8, or 9, or 10, or 11, or 12, doesn't mean that we can't make a huge impact. Right? With me so far? Yeah. All right. There's a little quote that I'll summarize for you from someone named St. Simeon, the theologian. He basically said, God chose to identify with people who are poor. We don't know why he did that, but he did. He said, our Lord was pleased to assume the likeness of every poor man and compared himself to every poor man in order that no man who believes in him should exalt himself over his brother. In other words, I don't think I put it in this PowerPoint. You guys know Mother Teresa? So she recently became a saint. She used to have this really cool phrase where she would say about Jesus, there's a Jesus in his most distressful disguise. Jesus basically being like clever and like hiding in the poor. When you see a homeless person, what our church believes about homeless people, and people who are poor, and people who are less than we do, the least of these, is somehow, whatever you do to them, it's the same thing as if you're doing it to Jesus. It's weird. We don't know how. But it's true. That's what we believe as a church. That's why for us, when it comes to like serving the poor and stuff like that, it's not just a matter of like, oh, we're going to do like some really cool community service. We're going to be like really cute. No, we believe that it's like us going to meet the person of Jesus. Does that make sense? It may not. Hopefully it will in a second. So the question that I was getting a little bit in Q&A, and then we were getting a little bit when it comes to this whole being light stuff, say I want to be light. I want to do something. I want to make some kind of impact. So like, how do I do it? What do I do? Where do I go? And that's why I want to share with you this like example or this model and why it matters. I love this picture. Man, it clicks so fast. You recognize that guy? So this is Jesus, and he has a little sign on his chest that says, "We'll work for 5 loaves and 2 fish." We'll work for loaves and fish. Because again, we believe this idea that when you see this homeless person, it's like Christ in them. And the words of Christ were that whatever you do to this person, it's like you're doing it to me. Have you heard that before? Everybody has. Okay, great. If you haven't, welcome. If not, so let me tell you the first idea, or the first model. It's too busy. Over here on this side is, give me a hand raise if you've ever been to something like a food bank or homeless people or something like that. Okay? A lot of us have. Give me a hand raise if you've ever done it 2 months in a row. Okay, not as many people. Okay, let me tell you what that's for. We do something like that once, it's super, super cool. When we go visit someone that's poor, and we say, "Hey man, here's some water or food and stuff like that," it's amazing, it's really nice. When you do it consistently, you know what happens? The people then begin to realize, hey, you're doing this probably not for extracurricular activity at school. You're doing it because you care about me somehow. And you begin to build a relationship. I'll tell you, there was someone that we used to see, and that's the picture over here is everybody wearing the same t-shirt heading out to the same little stop on the corner in a fun neighborhood in New York, in New Jersey, where we would go every single week. There was someone named Jimmy, who initially, this person, every time they'd see the group coming, he'd get so mad, and he'd want nothing to do with the group. So get away from me, I don't want to see you. But then week in and week out, Jimmy began to be waiting for us with the Bible, saying all right guys, what are we going to read this week? It became like Sunday school, but except in the hood. Very hood Sunday school. Yeah, hood school, I guess. And then we began to wonder, okay, it looks like we're having an impact. It looks like Jimmy's having a good time. People that were coming to see every single week, it's impacting them. They're waiting for us now. They expect us. They're like, "Man, you guys late. You kind of people are always late." And we're like, "Yeah, it's because we're different. I'm sorry." But we go. Then we started seeing, how about for us young people? Does it make an impact on somebody in grade 7 or 8? I remember I used to teach Sunday school, right? And they fired me because I was bad at it. And I used to try to teach my kids, hey, here's what you can do about prayer and stuff. And prayer is really important. And then I took a couple of kids, one of the kids, the young folk like yourself, to one of these services. And they were like, "Mina, you won't believe it." I'm like, "What?" "Silly. Prayer really works." And I was like, They're we were talking to this one guy, and then he left. It's okay, it happens. Maybe he was busy, he had stuff to do. They're like, "No, we decided to pray that God would return him back to us." That's powerful, faith, right? And then he came back, and then we started talking more about Jesus. I was like, "That's cool, you guys are 12. This is a lot of faith for your age." They're like, "Yeah, this is way more than whatever you did talking to us about it every single week." No offense taken, but I understand. I agree with you. Sometimes, if you guys are just playing sports, right? We're playing, I think, some sports. You know how sports teams have practice? And if there are any NBA fans, recently Allen Iverson became in the Hall of Fame, right? He just talking about practice. All right, we're not going to talk about all the NBA people. Just one reference about practice. That's just one reference. Just one. Focus. Sometimes what we do in church, when we talk about the Bible, when we talk about prayer, when we talk about doing stuff, it's a lot like practice. And it's really, 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 really good. But every once in a while, you know what we got to do? We got to go play a game. We got to go be on the floor and do stuff that really matters. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you an example. I'll tell you why this matters. One of the times where we did this, there was one dude who was with us, and he was new to this whole game, this whole feed the poor thing. He didn't want to come. He's like, "Who big smell? Just leave me alone." I was like, "All right, man, just come with us this one." And he was, I think at the time, just around your age, maybe a little bit older. And he was struggling with some stuff on the side. Stuff on the side was a little bit of weed, a little bit of marijuana. No, but it was a big deal, but we told him to come serve with us anyway. And I was pretty sure he didn't know anything about it in terms of like Bible stuff. Him and I are talking to, a lady in the street and giving her a sandwich. And then some like enormous dude, like LeBron enormous, comes and he's like, "You guys are done, you're going home." And I'm like the radio type, so I'm like, "Yes, sir, I'm on my way." The other dude was like, "No, we're not done, we're staying here, and we're gonna feed this lady some more ham and cheese." I'm like, "My man, we're done. I don't know what you, maybe you're staying. I'm going home to cry like a baby. You can do whatever you want." But then he was like, "No, we're gonna stay." And then he looked up to the enormous guy, and then he was like, just started telling him about how much God loves him. I was like, "What are you doing? We're gonna die. This is not the time." He was like, "No, like, I don't know if you know this, but like we're here because we believe that God loves us and God loves these people. And He loves you too, and He really wants you to repent and whatever." And at this time, like I'm already, crying, but I look up, and the dude starts actually crying. The big guy, who later revealed to us that he was like the controller of the region. He was a pimp. Okay, he was the guy who was like, he was a mean guy. But he was like, started crying, and he was like, something happened to me when I was younger, and my house burned down. Ever since then, I've been so upset at God. And he's like pouring out his confession to this other friend of mine who has never been to confession before. And I was just like watching this in awe. I was like, this would never happen in Sunday school. I would never experience this whole interaction. And I don't know what happened to the big guy. The big guy left. We never saw him again. He didn't bother us anymore. But I do know what happened to my other friend who was like struggling with a lot of stuff. Later on over time, he was like, "You know what, Mina? This whole Jesus thing is for real. Like, I'm going to be really into it." Right now, he's one of the most active youth leaders in our church because he just took it mad seriously. He was like, what's weird? Like, if these words that you guys say in Sunday school all the time, if they can change that big Goliath-looking guy, and they can change me, maybe they can change other people. Maybe they can really impact other people too. It was like, right on. I agree with you. That's what happens. One of the things that happens when we're there consistently. So that's our aim for this kind of thing. When it comes to us talking about we want to be with the poor, we want to be with people who are homeless or hungry or whatever, we want to see how we can be there often. Does that make sense? Good? Okay. Oh, one time I was in Chicago. Let me tell you about my friend Stan over here, right? And it was actually kind of amazing. It was on a Friday night, and it was a group like this, and we started to think, sometimes every once in a while you start thinking like, all right, we go serve the poor or the homeless people. We give them like sandwiches, and like they like high-five us, and it's great, and we all go home. Like nothing really happens. Like what's like the big deal? Have you ever had those thoughts? Maybe you haven't, maybe you have, maybe you will in the future. God wanted us for some reason that night to show us the impact that it can have. This guy, a 27-year-old guy, and I share the picture with his permission, that we saw that Friday night in Chicago because he had been homeless. He's a young guy, he's white, and like life seems to be okay, but seems to be not okay. We meet him, and we give him some food, we talk about some stuff, kind of usual, and then we start to pray together. In the middle of the prayer, he says, "Lord, thank you for sending these people because today's Friday, where I was going to be by Monday. That I had planned to already end my life by Sunday." He knew what he was going to do. He knew which track he was going to jump in front of. And that he was going to commit suicide, and that was going to be the end of his life. His life was going to be over. And he told us this. He told us why, because of things he was struggling with his family and all this stuff. But he didn't die. Because of the couple of Coptic people that decided to go meet him on a Friday night, they literally saved his life. Literally. And this guy was alive afterwards. They connected with him in the church. They brought him to a detox unit because he was struggling with stuff, and into a rehab. And when we go back to the church to talk about it, we said, man, God is so like loud sometimes. God is sometimes trying to tell us, like, hey, there's something that you can do that's so huge like literally life-saving. You believe that. In Calgary right now, Calgary is waiting for the Coptic Church. They may or may not be saying that, but there are a lot of poor people, or sick people, or people who are vulnerable that are waiting for just you. It's like me, yeah. Right? You know what I'm talking about? Are you following me? You know what I'm saying? Okay. Or are you still with Derek Rose? The reason I say what people are waiting for us is because when we look at the Coptic Church in North America, and specifically in Calgary, there's what, 2 churches? 1 church? 2? All right. Well, if you want to get technical, there's you guys. There's at least St. Minas. And St. Minas is a lot of people. And not everybody in Calgary knows. Like, I'll give you an example. There was one outreach that we started doing, and it was the children of whose parents were in prison. And the church was there so consistently that they began to expect, like, oh guys, don't worry, Coptic is coming. The Coptic Church is going to come and do X, Y, Z. Right now, if we were to take a little survey in Calgary and tell them, hey guys, we're considering moving our church from Calgary to Edmonton. That's a city, right? That's a thing. Yeah. We're going to pack it all up. We're going to all move and go to Edmonton. What do you think the reaction of the community would be? They'd be like, oh no, we missed the Coptic people. They were the ones who were doing all of the things to... No? They wouldn't say that? Part of our goal, guys, part of our goal is we would hope people actually would miss us if we weren't around. And that our impact in the city will be visible. So remember, my friends, stand. Remember that we can literally be involved in saving people's lives. Sorry. Next thing I wanted to tell you is, anybody ever been to a nursing home? Some people. Okay, very good. Anybody ever been to a nursing home 2 months in a row? Okay, some people. Very good. Very good. Some people visit your own family, maybe somebody else's family. You know, 2 out of 3 people in nursing homes have no living relatives. One of the reasons sometimes that you wind up in a nursing home is that you don't have people who take care of you at home, or you need, you're really sick, you need a lot of help, so you wind up living there. Sometimes there isn't someone to visit, and I want to show you a picture. Yeah, I don't know if you can appreciate this picture, but I'll tell you about another picture. There was a guy that we would see because we would go on a regular basis, a guy named Sam. I'm telling you more stories because your servants told me that you wanted to hear more stuff. So I hope that's entertaining. There's a guy named Sam that had no living family members, right? And when we'd go see him, in the beginning, again, he was kind of resisting. He was like, this is kind of weird. You guys are all brown. I'm an old Italian guy. Like, you bring cannoli or something. I don't know. I'm rolling you as him. Over time, though, he was cool, and he started to warm up to us. He took a picture with us, kind of like this one, and then he framed it, put it by his bed, and then he told all the nursing staff, like, hey guys, let me know when my family's coming. Because we were his family. His family wasn't, for whatever reason, they weren't around anymore. And it was hard. It was like sad, but it was like amazing. We got to be there for this guy and really make an impact on him. And even spiritually, like, he's towards the end of his life, but he was so open, like, because he saw that we loved him. There was no other reason. There's a reason, let's be honest, for almost anybody in Canada to go do a service once. It's good for, like, school. It's good for, like, you get a trophy somewhere or something. But it's rare for people to go do something consistently. Once, every month, every 2 months, or whatever it is. And that's where you build relationships with people. And that's where you start to see that people treat you as their family. It was a similar situation in this picture. Other stuff in this parable, I don't know if we talk about, is like the details of the how-tos. But, oh, I clicked so much. Another idea, anybody here has ever been to a hospital, a children's hospital? I saw that there were like, okay, good, excellent. So here's like the good news and bad news of where we're at so far. The good news is that none of this stuff is like foreign to you guys, that you'd be like, ew, oh my god, I never want to go with sick people. Sick people are like gross. People have told me that before. They're like, old people smell, and young people are like, ugh. So it's good that you're not there. You've done this before. We just need to take one more step in which we say, we're not going to do this just once, but we're going to do this some consistency so that I can build a relationship. Because that's the way that I can show my love through my actions. One of the first times we went to like a children's hospital, we saw people who were, one of our friends was saying how he saw a little girl in a wheelchair that was 3 years old, or 3 or 4 years old. And it was a wheelchair. I didn't know they made wheelchairs like that small for people who were like so little. And it was like, it's like heartbreaking to see someone. Have you ever seen someone your age or younger who was sick, right? And that like really tugs at you because you're like, wait a second. I thought people our age never get sick. I thought people our age were like, you know, like we live forever. We're cool. But then when you do and you see it and you're like, wait a minute. And you can really connect with them. And they connect with you and they say, man, you're my age and you want to see me. That's what you want to visit me and you want to hang out with me, play video games and, you know, 2K2 and whatever. Or what, not 2K, 2K16, 17. I'm so old, I know. And we put into this like a how-to, because people often ask like, oh, well maybe I'm going to be like down to do it, but I'm not going to know how. There's going to be all these steps. The how is easy. The tough part for this talk is to say, like someone was praying before we started, we asked God to give us the commitment that we want to do something different. And that something different is to be doing something consistently. To want to show love consistently. That's the hardest part. Another idea, God bless you. Has anybody ever done Habitat for Humanity? Anybody know what that is? Like where you build homes for people? You know what I'm talking about? Anybody ever do it? It's super cool because you get involved in like building a home for somebody who maybe is homeless or whatever, and they're helping you with the building of like their own home so that they're not going to be homeless anymore. So it's fun because you work with your hands and you do stuff that's like practical and like real and stuff like that. And you get to see the impact because someone in the beginning is homeless and then is not homeless anymore. Does that make sense? So it's cool, and that's like a little picture there of that. And then there's one of my favorites. Have you ever been involved? There's a great verse in the book of Hebrews where St. Paul says, remember those in prison as if you're chained with them. Have you ever heard that verse before? It's a cool verse. There's a really great organization that works with kids who are like our age and younger, but their parents are like locked up behind bars. So for Christmas, they work on getting a Christmas gift to somebody, to like these kids, to maintain the relationship between them and the kids over Christmas time. And what you can do over like Christmas time is like play like Santa Claus. Like you get to have the Santa Claus role where you get the gifts and you deliver them to people's houses, and it's like super amazing. Oh, we had an episode. It's okay, it's just chocolate milk. Or hot chocolate. We'll take care of it. You good? You guys okay? So why am I telling you all these different ideas? The reason I'm telling you this is because when we want to get practical, when we want to get specific, when we want to get like something that's going to like force us to really do something, what I've seen, the opportunity for God to let you be a part of something miraculous is when we're doing something consistent. And that's like hard and maybe like not as like fun of a talk. I don't know if it is. But it's the kind of thing that will push your spiritual life further than retreats, honestly, if I can be honest with you. Things that I've learned, either visiting a prison or a nursing home or a hospital or a soup kitchen, have pushed me further than things that I've learned in retreats. And I think it's the same for you guys. I think it's this whole practice and basketball and game analogy. It's like imagine if your whole life, again, with the basketball or with the game and practice thing, if you go to a sporting event Have you ever been to a basketball game? Or hockey? Hockey, right? Sometimes before a game, you know how the team gets together and like does a huddle? And like they cheer each other up kind of? Get each other going? If you were there and they just huddled for 2 hours and then they went home, like how would you feel? You'd be sad. You'd be like, where's the game? Are you guys going to play? Huh? Yeah, they get paid for you, right? Not you. Sometimes that's how Calgary is looking at the rest of us. Like that's how our community is thinking about us. She's like, what do we know about the Christian church, the Catholic church? I know they huddle a lot. They retreat. So part of what we're trying to push for is to not be a church that's just going to be a retreat, and not to be a church that's just going to be doing huddles. But our goal is to be doing something more than that. To be kind of going a step further. And then the last thing I'll leave you with, I want to make it short, is once we do all these things, somebody asked me in the last talk or in between, is like, how do we then talk to people, like what's the conversation? And I was sharing with some of the older group, it's very simple. When you're doing a service, and people can tell that you're like offering them love, and then from there, you're asking questions, you're able to really get into like what they believe and what they don't. Make sense? This is more of to-do stuff. So it's not as theoretical, and sometimes I don't like to talk about it because I'm like, I'd rather just talk about a Bible story, you know? But this is the way that we can really make an impact on our city. Cool? Any questions about this? Yes? Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So whether it's a nursing home or a hospital, prison schools are different because you go in for like, you have to at least be 18 for this, so it doesn't apply to everybody. But we've got like Bible study, so that's a little bit different. But when you're going into a hospital or a nursing home or a soup kitchen, the first thing is like being a friend. Like, how are you? How's your life? What are you up to? Da, da, da. But then it's also asking spiritual questions. It's like, hey, did you grow up with any kind of like spiritual or religious like background or anything? Yeah? No, tell me about that. What was that like? And then like I said before, like, you know, you heard about Jesus before? Have you thought about him before? What do you think? Is he someone that's like good, bad, indifferent? Tell me your thoughts. And then using whatever their experience is to build a original relationship. Yeah. Is it just really scary to visit a prison? I mean, for your age, yeah. That's why I'm saying maybe it wouldn't be the best thing for you to go and visit prison. But what could happen is, imagine like someone your age, same age as you, maybe a little bit younger, and you're fortunate to have maybe a great family, and they're unfortunate and their family is, you know, in prison. Wouldn't it be really cool if you delivered a gift to them, you know, during that Christmas time and say, hey, this is for your parents. So that's not as scary. That's not as scary. It's a project called Angel Tree. And that's something I think that we can do. Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. So Saturday and Sunday we're at church. What we would do is part of the church time, say, oh, you know what? One Sunday school per month is going to be us. We're going to pray together, and we're going to go and do something for. That's what Vancouver did. That's what a lot of churches do too. Is that it would just be part of the church routine. And in the early church, like in the old school way, that's how it always was. It wasn't always like. So I think ideally it can definitely be hard to find like a time Monday through Friday. But if you talk to your servants and say, hey, can we do something once a month, once every 2 months, something with some consistency, say we just want to have our class like work on this thing. One stepping down. Does that make sense?
It's in the works.
It's in the works. So your servants are already thinking about it. So part of this whole thing, and they're already planning it. Part of this whole thing is for you to work with it. They're already working on it. Show them that you're motivated, that you want to do it, so that they don't feel like they're dragging you. Like you're pulling your teeth or pulling your phone from you. Alrighty? Any other questions? Okay, last thing I wanted to leave you with on this theme of being a light to the least. Remember how, I remember reading this, or hearing it actually in a talk somewhere. When we're talking about light and darkness, can you guys see my pointer? Look up real quick. Can you see my pointer? Anybody see it? No. How come you can't see it?
Because they're not pointing.
Because there's a lot of light in here.
Because they're not pointing.
Yeah, there's a lot of light. There's a lot of light in here. Sometimes, the principle that I wanted to leave you with, sometimes we're not able to shine, we're not able to see the light of a Christian church, because we just hang out with a lot of other light. You know where you can see, like if you're flashing a light somewhere, you know where you can see that really well? And somewhere a little bit dark. So in order for us to show our light, what we have to commit to, we have to decide as a bunch of Christian people, is we got to look for some darkness. We have to look for it. It's not going to come to you. Darkness is not going to come to the Catholic Church. What you want to do as a young person, as a Christian who wants to be light, say, where is there darkness in my city? If there are people who are going to bed hungry, there's darkness, I want to do something about it. If there are people who are sick, and they're my age and younger, or people who are in nursing home, that's a darkness. I want to do something about it. I want to do something about it. Make sense? Alright? Glory be to God. Thank you.